Welcome back to PHATT Audio Concepts. Today we're going to have a look at a couple of cars in the workshop again. We're going to be doing a bit of feedback answering, and we're also going to be discussing upcoming events. We'll also be having a look at that bonnet scoop off that GTS that we were showing you, that Monaro. We're going to be showing you how it gets glued down, and let's come inside, have a look around. The Maserati, aka Project A. We're now in the middle of grafting the front bar on. We've got to make some custom-made bar iron supports because we're putting the original Maserati bar iron back on. But in order to support that to the bumper bar, we need to support it to the body. So we're going to get some brackets made up. They're all going to be laser cut. By the time these things are finished, you'd think Maserati made them. Now we also have the XY. It's basically the guy's chosen his colour now. So next episode, you'll see this thing in some base colour. We have Quick WRX, it's in assembly stage now, the paint's been put on. We're still waiting for the bonnet scoop and spoiler to be painted, but yeah, it's ready to start assembling the rest of the car. Back to the front of the car, we're about to fit some angel eye headlights for this thing. We're just waiting for the customer to bring them in. The bonnet scoop's still waiting to be painted, but the rest of the car's all been painted. What we're also doing is just rubbing the car down with 2000 wet and dry just to get rid of a tiny bit of the orange peel, make it look a bit more flatter, hit that with a buff, or 3-stage buff, then a bit of a hand polish, and this thing's going to look better than it did out of factory. Next we have the GDIR. These things are a pocket rocket. All-wheel drive turbocharged out of factory. This thing's an absolute weapon. We're doing a custom front bar. We're also giving it a bare metal respray. Unfortunately, this car's been painted and the original paint underneath was still glossy. You could just literally tear off the blue paint and the gloss black underneath was still there. So we're taking the whole thing back to metal, then we're going to respray it in the colour that he wants, and this thing will look 100% sexy. Some of the apprentice, as usual, is always hard at work, scraping cars down. That's all he seems to be doing lately. So he's our stripper. Hi, stripper. Okay, if we make our way to here, we'll pop the bonnet on this thing. Now this thing's had a very big front mount intercooler fitted to it. Unfortunately, the piping work's getting in the way of the factory battery. So what we've got here is an Optima slimline battery, ideal for when you're running intercoolers, that it allows a pipe to run through. The battery's a lot slimmer, and this has as much power as one of those bigger batteries. So Optima batteries are absolutely awesome, especially for an audio side of things as well. They have a lot of reserve capacity, heaps of cold cranking power, fantastic. Okay, we're with the boat. We've got the roof all stripped down. I shouldn't really call it a boat, it's an absolute classic. The roof's all stripped down, all sanded down. As you can see, there's also a bit of surface rust under the paint here as well. So what we're going to have to do is deoxidize everything. Deoxidizing basically kills all the rust in the metal before you start putting your sealers down. So yeah, and that stuff smells like rotten egg gas, but it works an absolute treat. What we also have here is a Toyota Cressida. It's had a V8 conversion. When they've fitted the Lexus V8, the motor sat a bit higher than it needed to, and it was hitting the bonnet. We wanted to put something on there without having a hole in the bonnet, so we've grabbed the BA GT bonnet scoop, which we get from one of our fiberglass suppliers who makes a lot of the mould for us. We then cross-bonded it onto the bonnet. As you can see, it's a seamless fitting, which has then been airbrushed. With this V8 conversion, he used to have a 6-cylinder, it needed a bigger radiator, and he's gone down to see Rod down at Race Radiators up in Dandenong. Race radiators make the best aluminium radiators you can come across. I fitted one in my drag car about 12 years ago, and it's still working to this day. He is an absolute god with alloy radiators, intercoolers, anything you need to alloy, see Race Radiators. He is a legend. If you look carefully underneath, there are no joins whatsoever. This thing looks like it was put there from Toyota. So basically making it a show car, even though it's going to be a daily driver. It's just the way we do work, it has to be 100%, so we're happy with it, the customer's happy with it, and anyone he shows, if they pop the bonnet, they're going to say, wow, who fitted that, because that's been done really neat. That was us. Pack, baby, pack. But in the meantime, this has been a 2-year project in the making. It's had a V8 conversion, Lamborghini motorised front doors, full custom airbrushing, door handles shaved, it's had the whole works, full in-car computer. It's one of those cars where you just would not expect it. So this is a bit of a mind-blowing modified car. And yeah, we're finally at the assembly stage. The carpet's gone in. We're just ready to put this thing together now. Okay, what we're looking at here is the Lamborghini motorised door setup. It's got a very strong actuator. We've got the door that's able to pop open and all lift up motorised, and then it all comes back down motorised as well, and then it just needs a little nudge to shut the door. This setup is supplied from Australian Custom Imports. They're a universal Lamborghini kit. They're not the easiest thing to fit, but they work fantastic. They've got a lot of adjustments in them. When these kits open up, they don't just stop there. You can adjust them to go right past the 90-degree mark and go even further. The only tricky part is when they're motorised, trying to fit the actuators inside there. If you get it right, they work fantastic. So yeah, we'll see this thing working later on down the track. You'll love it. Okay, next up we have an MG convertible, 1970 model. This thing's been in the build for about 14 years. His father owned it from new. He's now taken over the project. We're putting a massive audio system into this. The restoration work on this car is absolutely amazing. The detail under the car is just as good as on top. We've fitted a humongous audio system to it. It's all been installed just as a dummy assembly, if you will, because it does take dummies to assemble it. And then we take over and fine-tune it. Now that everything's done, we just have to wait for some carpet to come in from England. Everything's ready to be trimmed, so we'll follow this over the next couple of episodes and watch it all come together. And yeah, it's absolutely amazing. The size of the audio system in this car will blow you away. The finished product, by looking at it, you wouldn't even know it's in there. Here we have a 1964 XM Futura. Basically this thing's been in the build for about 14 years as well. It's very close to completion. We'll be doing a step-by-step of how this car gets assembled because it's almost ready for assembly. It's been a long time in the making, but this is where my heart lies, with the old Aussie muscle. Although I love my Jap cars, my Euro cars and every other car, the passion's in these old Falcons and the old Holdens. So I am a Ford man, but still appreciate a great Holden. When we have a closer look at this car, this will be a weekend driver. It's not really a show car, but the level that this is being built to, yeah, you'll just drool. You won't be able to help yourself. You'll need tissues. Here we have the bonnet scoop that we were showing you last week. It's about to be grafted on. We're going to show you how this is actually done live, not by dead people, but by live people. What we've had to do is also cut a few notches into the front of it because the bonnet scoop wasn't folding over properly. We cut these lines in it, that way we could fold the front of it down to follow the shape of the bonnet, re-glass the inside of it so it holds it all together. Once it's all glued in place, we'll then grind out those grooves so you won't see them anymore, and then we'll feather this thing into the bonnet and it'll look like it was already on there. Last week we showed you this Monaro bonnet. All we had to do was grind back some paint so we had some bare metal exposed. We've now got the bare metal exposed. We've got the locator holes ready to go. This thing's ready to have the cross bonding applied to it. Then we'll sit the bonnet scoop on top, screw it down in place while it dries, and you'll actually get to watch how this thing's done. Okay, when using this stuff, I'm going to walk close to the camera here. You can see the nozzles are really fine, but they give you little ridges so you can cut it off how thick you want it to come out. We're going to cut it off right to the tip because we want a really nice thick bead coming out. So I'll be back in just 2 seconds. Okay, while we're prepping ourselves, getting ourselves ready to do this, just a little plug for the guys down at the body shop up in Dandenong. They supply us with all the materials we need. If you want to know how to do things, they have reps that come out on site that have product knowledge. They can even show you how it works. So if you're ever stuck for something, give them a hoy. You've got Tanya there. She's one of the best reps you can come across. Even Louise, the delivery girl, she even knows her stuff. So they're pretty well trained up there, and they have everything you need to do for any type of body work, even custom audio work. You know, all your bogs, your fiberglass, your plastic bogs, your plastic welding, they've got everything there. So give them a hoy, see if there's something they can help you with. Okay, first process is to make sure you bleed these things because they don't always come out. It's a part A and part B mix. They don't always come out at the same time. So we give it a quick bleed, make sure it's coming out at the same time, then we're ready to go. If I can just get it open. I got it open. Now, if this was a hospital, I'd be lucky enough to have some really gorgeous nurse hand me a glove, but I've got to put this glove on myself. And don't forget the rubber glove, because if it's not on, it's not on. What we're doing here is just running a thin bead around the whole bonnet, then we're going to smear it to make sure we cover all the bare metal, so that way there's no bare metal exposed and it's all sealed again, just in case once the bonnet scoops on we can't get to the inside of it. Now I'm just going to start smearing it from side to side. What we're doing here is just making sure we cover all the bare metal.